Here we go.
Go ahead.
What is going on, guys? Matt Marinoff. I am your stewardess for today's flight, and the captain is Carolina Curbelo. She is a real estate attorney in New Jersey, and she practices immigration law and real estate law. And we're talking about basically what's going on in the environment that we're in right now. She's going to give us a little bit of a spin on the real estate market for herself. He actually said that she's pretty busy right now, probably the busiest she's been in a while with the real estate side. So again, guys, COVID-19 doesn't mean it's getting us down. People are motivated to purchase properties. This young lady is a true professional. She went to Vermont Law School. She also went to Rutgers University. She is fluent in Espanol. I am actually fluent in Spanglish myself. So you can imagine how that conversation would go if we tried speaking Spanish. I actually met Carolina a couple of years ago through a mutual friend. And, it's amazing. You have the opportunity to meet with people, try to find out, basically what makes them tick, why they do what they do. And there was an immediate, I don't want to say attraction, but there was an immediate, I gravitated towards her because of, you could tell that she actually cared. There are a lot of people that are in law that really don't care about individual people. They care about a paycheck. So she's definitely on the bandwagon with the whole people before profit, which is great. And I'm going to let her tell a little bit, about her story, who she is, and what was the making of Carolina. And then we're going to dive deep into a little bit about immigration law. We're going to talk about real estate, and we're going to talk a little bit about COVID-19. Without further ado.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you for having me on your program. So a little bit about myself, and I don't want to bore your audience, but I am an immigration and real estate attorney. I decided to go into these two areas primarily due to the immigration part, and I'll tell you why. I'm the daughter of Cuban refugees that came from Cuba back in 1962 after the Bay of Pigs invasion. So my parents arrived here with my grandparents, and they started their life all anew here in the United States, first in Jackson Heights, Queens, and then later in New Jersey. I grew up learning about communist Cuba, what life was like back pre-Castro and then afterwards. And I was inspired. I've loved my family. I love, all the community, the big Cuban community, both in New Jersey and in Miami. And I was very much, at the time when I went to law school, I was really thinking about going into environmental law. That's why I chose Vermont. But while I was there, I took an immigration law class. I fell in love with immigration law. And when I got out of law school, I decided to clerk for a while. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I did a lot of things, whether it was securities law. Later on, I did some e-discovery. I did labor and employment with the New Jersey Department of Labor. But somehow it was just this one case that I took pro bono of this child from Guatemala who came unaccompanied, who was fleeing the persecution of the gangs. And through my representation of that child, and I was able to get asylum for him, I just fell in love with immigration. And since then, I've been handling immigration cases, mostly doing removal or what people may know as deportation defense. And then later on, taking on, representing clients through asylum, doing a lot of consular processing where people petition their relatives, doing fiancé visas, naturalizations. So I do the whole gamut of immigration with the exception of business immigration. And while I was representing my clients in immigration proceedings or helping them get their green cards, become U.S. citizens, they would ask me, Abogada, can you help me achieve the next American dream? Oh, that's my daughter, which is buying a house. And I said, sure, why not? And I think that for someone like myself, who's the daughter of immigrants, the two American dreams here is becoming legalized, getting your green card, and becoming a United States citizen and buying a home. And I love working with clients, whether they're immigrants or non-immigrants, U.S. citizens, green card holders, in achieving whatever their objectives are. And especially obtaining a home is one of the ones, that's a huge investment. And I love hand-holding clients. And I've worked with you, Matt, and your clients. And a lot of the clients that I've worked with you have been Spanish-speaking, bilingual-speaking clients, or only Spanish-speaking clients. And I love that hand-holding. I'm all about customer service. And one thing that you probably don't know about me, Matt, is that I used to work for Nordstrom's when I was in college. So for me, the whole hand-holding process, customer service is very key to, how I run my business. And it's very important that customers are satisfied with my delivery, whether it's legal services, but also when I'm working with third parties like yourself, that the whole overall experience is great.
I did not know that. What department did you work in?
So I used to work in
lingerie.
No. I worked, if you're in Garden State Plaza, I used to work on the third floor. It was between couture. It was called the Savvy department. So it was next to the couture department. So it was very like hip couture, casual wear. I would describe it. And I think that that's really the essence of what I try to do is try to be, work, give good, provide excellent legal services, but with a great customer experience.
Well, that makes sense.
Of course.
So working with the people that you work with on a daily, with a day in and day out, what do you feel right now based on, the environment that we're in, as far as, the whole, immigration aspect of it, regular real estate? What's going on right now as far as the immigration status, especially with COVID-19? Are people getting deported right now?
They're still doing, I would say, in Elizabeth Immigration Court, where that's where a lot of the detainees are being, they're holding their hearings. Those are still continuing. The detained individuals.
How are they doing it? Are they allowed to do it in open court?
It's usually, from my understanding, I haven't been to court recently, but for my colleagues, I have any clients right now in detention. But it's pretty much the lawyers appearing along with the judge. The client is on televised because they're in the jail, on the detention center.
That's crazy.
The non-detained, which are the folks that have immigration court that are not detained, those cases right now have been adjourned, I believe, through May 29th. I think later on they're going to reassess whether they're going to open the immigration courts. Right now, all those cases are being rescheduled, and they're being pushed out all the way out to like 2023, 2024. But most immigration lawyers are still operating under the assumption that we still may have court. So we're still working on filings, submitting to both, the Department of Homeland Security, the trial counsel, as well as the courts. And we're still moving forward. And with regards to, overall with immigration, is that there's just this fear that has been going on with this current administration. And a lot of the fear has, basically has caused a lot of clients, both existing and new clients, to call me and say, Carolina, what can I do? I want to adjust my status. I want to keep moving forward with my case. I'm scared what's going to happen, come November, or what's going on now with the COVID-19. Are they picking up people? Are they still processing applications? So there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of concern, especially with folks who have work authorizations. They're concerned that, am I going to be able to renew my work authorization? Is USCIS, which is United States Citizenship for Immigration Services, are they still processing applications? So I'm getting a lot of these calls, and I'm also getting calls about folks that are, saying, hey, you know what? hopefully this pandemic will be over. I want to move forward. I want to become a United States citizen. I've fallen in love with somebody abroad. Can I bring them over? So I'm getting a whole host of different kinds of matters coming into my office.
So let me ask you a question. When it comes to immigration, like, years ago, actually, I don't even know if I should say this on live or not. My wife's going to watch and go, are you effing kidding? But I actually had somebody, I heard her go, oh my God. I actually had somebody approach me and offer me $10,000 for me to marry them so they could get legal citizenship in the United States. Now, I'm 22 years old, right? Somebody's offering me this, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money, So I invested the money well. Now I'm like, I didn't do it. She was actually, I think she was Brazilian or something like that. And, so, you never, you always hear these stories. You always hear how, like, people are offering different services, or I guess they do like spot check to see if people are really in love, or if they actually did it, for the wrong reasons. Have you ever been involved in a situation like that where people actually got married for the wrong reasons to stay in the country?
I get a lot of those types of cases, and more so now because of the fear. So, I screen those cases. And the reason why is, first of all, you, as an attorney, you do not want to commit fraud. And that's one of the things when you go into a, what they call a marriage adjustment interview, they remind not only the attorney, they remind also the two individuals, the petitioner, who's usually a United States citizen, and the beneficiary, who's the immigrant, that, if you commit marriage fraud, there are severe consequences, whether it's not only a high penalty of a $250,000 minimum to 5 years of imprisonment. So when I get clients that come in who say to me, oh, I married so-and-so, or I'm interested in petitioning somebody who I married abroad, or I want to bring a fiance, somebody who I got engaged to, I take those matters very seriously. And I not only speak to who is the United States citizen, but I also have them bring in the immigrant spouse or immigrant, fiance, or talk to them on Skype or over the phone. And it's important for me as an attorney to really screen those kinds of cases. And I was laughing when you were telling me the story about how you were offered $10,000, because it's becoming common now. I get those kinds of individuals coming into my office.
Oh, still you're doing that?
You're still, and I said, sorry, I cannot represent you.
What's the going rate now? How much is it now?
It goes up to like at least $30,000. It depends.
30,000?
30,000, and look, I understand, from the immigrant who has overstayed their visa or who is undocumented, they're concerned about, they don't want to go back to where they came from. Okay. Whatever the circumstances are. Right. And so they are willing to pay whatever it is, the price, to a United States citizen to become legalized. Right.
Right. And
on the other hand, the U.S. citizen that usually they tend to approach is somebody who's in desperate need of money. Okay. And, I really sit down and explain to individuals, when I find out that it was fraudulent, the marriage, I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. You're going to have to take care of it on your own or find somebody else. I don't handle those matters. Now,
let me ask you, let's back up. So you wouldn't, so if somebody actually came to you, told you, hey, look, this is the predicament that we're in, this is what happened, we got caught, you don't take them on as a client?
No, because it's fraud. It's fraudulent. And they probably got a decision from immigration about that. And what people don't understand is that, immigration realizes that this is the one of the primary ways that people commit fraud, okay, is through by marriage, okay? And look, I've represented clients who have been married for several years, who try to, do the whole consular processing thing. And, the husband forgets, the wife's favorite color. And sometimes it's nerves. And a lot of what I do is when I have these potential clients come in is I screen them. I ask them questions like, what are things you like about your wife or your husband? What are things you don't like about your wife and your husband? And I look at their body language. I try to assess them. I ask them questions about their prior marriages. What are the birth dates of all your kids, of your stepkids? what do you know the reasons why your wife got divorced from so and so, and or why does she have three ex-husbands? You start looking at patterns. You start asking a lot of questions, and I could tell by their body language whether it's a valid marriage or not. And I ask very, sometimes some questions to throw them off to see if they can tell me, like, when was the last time you had sexual relations with your partner? And some of them freak, but it depends on the when they tell me
what is their response to that?
Well, the couples that have been married for a while, they'll chuckle and they're very relaxed about it, and they'll say, well, and then they'll tell me. But I've had situations where I've screened an individual, and I said, and he brought this individual on a fiance visa, and he got married to her, and when I said, well, when was the last time you had sexual relations with your wife? And he goes, oh gosh, I don't remember. And he's like, maybe 6 months. And I was like, whoa, we got to stop right here. Okay.
Don't they realize that if they stop using it, they die?
What?
They stop using it, they die.
I don't know. I don't get into that. Basically, my whole point is to screen them and see if it's a legit, a valid, genuine marriage.
Right.
And look, it depends on, I work with various, cultural backgrounds, ethnicities, and some people don't, it depends on who you're dealing with. Like, there's some folks, I ask them a lot of questions. So some folks, I may not go to that extent, like that question. If they're very religious, I start asking them about their values, what are their shared values? Why did they come together under this particular faith? If they're of different faiths, I ask them what brought you together, because I've had those kinds of clients where, immigration has questioned, the validity of their marriage based on their religious beliefs, believe it or not. So, and especially like we're living in the post 9/11 world, there's a lot of, questions about if, let's say, for example, if a Muslim marries a Jewish person. So I've had that in an interview. And I've represented even as well, LGBT, clients during these marriage cases as well. Uh-huh. So, I've had situations where, somebody may have in their home country, being gay or lesbian is frowned upon, and they were forced to marry somebody and act straight. And then when they came to the United States, all of a sudden you see this, they are able to express their, their sexual orientation, and they marry somebody of the same sex. And sometimes immigration will have, question them about that. Like, all of a sudden you were married for so many years to a straight person, and then you all of a sudden just woke up and
that's actually that's a good point. What happens if two people are in love and they are of the same, sexual presence, and they want to get married? Like, in immigration law or whatever it is, states, I mean, do they look at that as like a valid reason for somebody to stay? Like, do they look at gay marriage as real or no?
No. Gay marriage is valid because, first of all, under the Defense of Marriage Act, which was a federal law, and then later gay marriage became law under the Supreme Court decision. And I forget the decision right now, but it is a valid reason to adjust your status if you're married, whether you're straight or homosexual or heterosexual. You can marriage. It's valid, and you can adjust your status. So in the situation where I just gave you that, where an individual may have been, married to a straight person, and then all of a sudden they're able to express themselves when they get to the United States and marry somebody who's of the same sex, what I do is I work with that client and I really talk to them about developing an affidavit or drafting an affidavit for immigration where it explains their journey, their journey from, I've always been gay, or I've always been a lesbian, and I've always felt this way, but I was forced under the circumstances, or because of my religious upbringing, whatever it was, explain it to immigration. So that way, when they get to the interview, the officer who's doing the interview has an understanding where this person is coming from, and then can ask them, questions about their circumstances.
That's amazing. Have you had any really bad situation cases where that it could be scripted into a movie where something went really, really, really bad, and there was a lot of crying and stuff like that, where somebody maybe got denied that maybe they really did love each other and it was real, and the court thought that it wasn't.
So I haven't had that kind of circumstance yet. Because once again, like I said, I screen my cases very well, and I usually the marriage cases I take on, I spend a lot of time with the client and to evaluate whether they have a very genuine marriage, a valid marriage. So a lot of it is working with them, going through a lot of the evidence, not just the financial stuff, not just, oh, do you have a kid? Did you pay taxes? All that stuff. I look at everything, their relationship in general, the love notes, the WhatsApp text messages, their shared common things. Like I've had clients where, they have an interesting sport that they do together. And I really accentuate that in their file when I present it. But I haven't had a case where the couple has been denied. Mm-hmm. I've only had situations where immigration comes back and says, hey, we need more information, more financial information. And that's basically it. But I tend to front load a lot to immigration. I send a lot of photos, a lot of affidavits, a lot of documentary evidence so that the clients can, achieve a successful result.
How long does it usually take from beginning to end? Somebody reaches out to you, says, hey, Carolina, I saw your website. Looks like you're interested in, making immigration great again. How can you help? How long does it usually take from them reaching out, getting, I guess, a court date, and then actually, the end?
So if it's a court representation, it depends on when they're scheduled for court, because some people are scheduled now for court. Let's say they had a court date in March. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because of COVID-19, now they're going to be scheduled out to 2023, 2024. Okay. Before, it used to be you would go to court every 6 months. We have what is called a master calendar, where you give a status update to the judge. Now those dates are being pushed out further because of the current pandemic, or because there's just the current administration has decided to round up more people. A lot more people are being thrown into immigration court. So it's just filling up the docket, and it's just overburdening our system. So justice is not being served because now everything is coming to a slow grinding halt. And the same thing goes with the administrative arm, or United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. So if you want to apply to become a citizen, it's now taking you between 9 to 12 months to get an interview in Newark. And this is pre-pandemic, okay? Yeah. So, folks who were saying like, hey, I want to become a citizen so I can vote for the November 2020 election, they had to file like last year, okay? And some of those folks now, their appointments are being canceled because of the pandemic. So it really depends. And as more people, there's more of a fear. There's more of, this current administration the president decides to, either remove temporary protected status from a particular group, or let's say, as there's the Supreme Court case that's going to be decided regarding the dreamers, the deferred action childhood arrivals. You could have more people that are going to get thrown into immigration court, and it's just going to slow the process down. So it really depends on what your matter is.
Wow. It's a pretty interesting stuff. I never really, obviously I'm not, it's funny. People say, oh my God, immigration, but aren't we all immigrants?
Yes, we are.
Isn't that really what the United States is? It's a mixture of different people.
And that's what we are. Different
cultural backgrounds. So, that's how I grew up in my house. I didn't, we didn't look at, people and different color, creed, or what have you. We judge people by whether they're nice or not. And if they're not nice, then, maybe we should just deport people that are mean.
Yes, that would be interesting.
You know, big chunk of society would go bye-bye. That's for sure.
That's right.
So, what is your take on what's going on right now? Well, before the post-pandemic, as far as the whole immigration process. And I'm not political at all, but what's your view, or do you want to even discuss your view on what the president has put in place for immigrants?
I would say, and this is me personally speaking, this administration has made it its agenda to get its base to vote especially for this election that's coming up. They have used immigration as sort of, it is the topic. It's what's bringing the base together, and
Right.
They are using immigrants as a scapegoat for the ills of society. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
And look, when I talk to folks who are very conservative, who are supporters of the president, I say to them, look, I understand that we need to address a lot of problems, whether it's, the border crossers at the southwest, portion of the United States, people crossing the border, not being inspected, not having papers. I understand that. Okay, I get that. That's a concern. The same thing with people coming into the country and overstaying their visas. And there's a lot of folks from different kinds of countries. There's a ranking, mostly from Mexico, Brazil, from Canada, that overstay.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that we can address. And the same thing goes with criminals, okay? There are criminal immigrants that we need to address, and we need to put them in legal proceedings in immigration court and process them through the legal system. The thing is, prior to President Trump, there's always been a priority system. The focus has always been on deporting criminal immigrants, okay? But this administration has decided, let's just, get people riled up, and let's talk about the people who are crossing the border, what they call, quote, illegally, which means that they don't have documentation. They don't have permission to enter the United States, okay? And they're using those individuals as scapegoats. And we've seen a lot of things have been happening around the world that has caused that sort of surge at the southwest border. A lot of what has been going on in Central America, in the Northern Triangle, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador is the reason why there's been this surge of individuals coming up here, as well as other parts of the world. You've seen it where there's, whether it's climate change affecting a particular region, whether it's what's going on politically, let's say in Venezuela, or, just basic, the economics, the economy just sucks. That's what is the driving forces for people to migrate to the United States. And the United States is sort of, in most people's eyes around the world, maybe not all countries now, given this current president, I would say, is most people look to America as the place where they can start over again, provide for their families, and follow their dreams. And, I think that this administration has to stop the rhetoric, the anti-immigrant rhetoric, because, like you said, we're all from immigrants. I mean,
I want to ask you this question. So, if you are somebody that can contribute to the society,
yeah,
and you're contributing, you're not a drain on our society, and you can contribute, and you can pay taxes. I don't see anything wrong with anybody coming to our country as long as they're offering some type of service, some type of trade, some type of education or performance that they can offer to the United States. Now, if you come here to the country and you're a financial burden, and or you're not willing to contribute, and you're really here for other reasons other than being proactive and being active as a United States citizen, then I think you should not be in our country. I got to tell you, that goes for people that have been in our country for 25, 30, 50 years that were born in our country. I think people like that in general, I think they should go bye-bye, because I think as a whole, we've had some major run-ins financially with the with the meltdown in 2008, with the adjustment in the 90s, with the adjustment in the 80s. Like, people don't realize, like, unfortunately, real estate is very cyclical, and it usually goes in like 10-year spans. So in 2008, when everything was going haywire, me jumping in 2005 and really understanding and learning and building the craft, 15 years experience understanding the short sale side of it. It's the rules, regulations, and guidelines, much like you're running in your business, which is the rules, regulations, and guidelines with immigration law and being able to work with people. So it's funny that you had mentioned, as a service provider, that you'll screen people, and if it's not kosher, you're not going to take them on as a client. We are very much the same in our business model, and I think people should be like that across the board. Now, yes, I think that there are obvious reasons, and there are certain circumstances where maybe things should be differently. I think that, if you're an immigrant and you have a child, and the child has, United States citizenship and you don't, I think that, and I could be wrong, I don't know, is it harder or easier for the parent to become a citizen once they have a child and has a birth certificate for the United States? How does something like that work?
So, okay. So if you have a United States citizen child and you're, let's say, undocumented,
Yeah.
it doesn't confer any benefits on you. And that's the sort of the misconception, the sort of the fantasy that a lot of clients that I deal with, I deal mostly with the Hispanic population, that they come here and they say, oh, well, I have a 2-year-old American-born child. Can I get working papers? Can I adjust my status? And I have to tell them the rules are not written that way. You have to wait till the child becomes 21. And then there's issues with regards to how that parent entered the United States, whether they it or not. And I'm not going to get into that. But there's rules there. And some of them, they don't make sense to my clients. They just don't get it. And President Obama was trying to create a program which didn't end up coming to fruition, which was called DAPA, Deferred Action for Parental Arrivals. And that was going to be like the Dreamers, right? And it was going to confer some sort of a temporary status on parents of United States citizen children, okay? That never came about, and there was a lot of pushback on that. So it's just like with foreclosures and short sales and the rules and regulations. A lot of the time that I spent with my clients or even prospective clients is really educate them. And I know you educate your clients about the system, about, what they're going to be going through, whether it's loan modifications or, what's going on with foreclosures or bankruptcies or what they got to do through the whole process, the short sale process.
Right.
I spend most of my time educating clients because they don't know. It's a complex system.
Right.
And, it's not easy. Most people will, and the same thing with short sales. It's complex. You can't just pick the average Joe or Jane and have them just say, hey, go do, this is what you got to do. They can read a book and know how to learn how to do it. You can't. People think with immigration, it's just as easy as filling a form. And maybe that's the same thing with a loan mod or getting, an approval. Folks thinks it's really easy, and it's not. And you need somebody who's experienced, who's gone through this process with several clients to navigate you through the process. And it's just really, I think it's a lot for people, the average person, to do on their own.
I think one thing that they should do, like if you have a child and you're not a citizen, and you're looking for some type of citizenship, and you have a child, and that child was born in the United States, they didn't make the decision to be born. They didn't make the decision to, be in the United States. I think what they should do, and you're going to think either I'm crazy or I'm crazy with a good idea or just crazy, that they should make a specific type of savings or fund for people that are, immigrants that have children born in the United States, where they have to contribute a certain amount of their paycheck money to go into a specific fund for children that are, from actual, from immigrants.
Yeah.
That way, like maybe they would have a better shot at having money set up for them for college.
Yeah.
So by doing that and having that in place, they would be able to give their children somewhat of a leg up, a better way of, discovering finances. I'm very happy now that schools are starting to do financial literacy
Mm-hmm.
and offer that type of program, to our young ones, because graduating high school, you don't know how to open up a checking account. You don't know what a savings account is. Most kids today don't even know how to write a check.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's good to have all this. All I know is apps. Everything is online. It's apps. So everything is obviously being put out there for educational reasons, and they made these phones. They call them smartphones, but if you ask, well, I do know. If you ask me, on an everyday basis, what's your home phone number? I'm not going to remember.
Yeah.
Because everything is in your phone. It's like I put people on my phone. I feel I associate their name with the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, you had a phone book. It was a name with a phone number. And so it's a sign of the times, and it's things changing. So let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about real estate law.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's going on in real estate law. Let's talk about a little bit about how we've worked together as far as the short sale side of it, and then we could talk about a little bit about your business with the real estate side with new real estate agents, and then I'd like to discuss a little bit about credit with you as well.
Okay.
So,
what would you like to ask me?
well, let's talk about short sales first.
Sure.
All right, and when you talk about short sales, and you talk about credit, and you talk about stuff like that.
Is that Gizzy?
That's Gizzy.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Gizzy, turn your radio down.
I'm on an intake call. Someone in California started the process. So
Okay.
They're on a call.
So basically, Giz, I wanted to bring you on because you're our resident expert when it comes to to credit.
Yes.
And I met Carolina through you.
That's right. We had lunch at a Carolina spot.
Allendale Bar and Grill.
Yes.
Yep.
She's all about Allendale, New Jersey. That should be your hashtag, probably. All about Allendale.
All about Allendale.
So, Giz, we're going to start talking about short sales, and then in real estate, regular real estate. I figured, let me have you pop on real quick, and then give your intake as far as when people are in distress, they have their properties, the houses are obviously going into foreclosure, and the credit aspect of it. So, Giz, when I get a client and somebody's in trouble with their property, when is the right time for myself or Carolina or anybody to bring somebody like yourself in regarding the credit repair option?
It could be at any time, to be honest. We could remove, if it's one late payment, we go after that late payment to remove the late payment. If it's 2, 3, 4, 9, 12, it's best to remove that whole account from the credit file. Of course, just because we remove it, it doesn't mean they still don't owe it. They will still be able to, make payments, set payment arrangements with you so that you could communicate with the bank. But at least, these people are going through hardship. Maybe they lost a car. Maybe they lost their credit cards. But at least they could start credit repair. It'll be off their credit, right? And if it's off per bureau, we know where to go to get financing per bureau. So if they're trying to restart their life, if they need a car and we clean our credit report like Equifax, we know where to go so that they could go and start getting new credit, accessing new credit so they could restart their life, not just wait on everything to be clean so that they could go start making moves. No, we're gonna be all goal oriented. What's the first goal? The first goal is to get this vehicle so I can go out there and get a job because my car broke down. All right, cool. That's gonna be the first goal. At the end of the day, people are gonna want to restructure their mortgage payment. We could remove that mortgage from the credit report. If they have a whole bunch of late payments, we're not gonna be able to remove those bunch of late payments. Maybe one, yes, but if you got a whole bunch, it's best to remove the whole account from the credit file.
So let's back up. So let's say somebody's tuning in right now, and I'll probably end up cutting this up, and I'll have to say Tommy from this point on. So, Giz, we're talking about short sales with Carolina regarding the real estate side of it.
Yeah.
And the client calls me, and we're referring a lot of our Spanish clientele to Carolina because the bulk of them, or the majority of them, that they feel more comfortable speaking with one, a woman attorney, and two, somebody that understands their background and can speak, write, read, and all that other stuff from the Spanish side of it.
Yeah.
When does it make sense for somebody to start the credit repair option? Because when you're late on your mortgage, typically these people are now going to be, when they're coming to us, anywhere between 12 to 36 months behind. So they're at that point, the credit aspect with that trade line is garbage. So you have a way of removing the whole trade line, and if you take the trade line off, does the actual credit aspect of it drop as well?
The credit score drops dramatically once you are in a mortgage and you become late on a mortgage. And the thing that is going to update on the credit report every month as being late is going to be that mortgage. So that's going to keep pressuring your scores down all the time. So let's say you are, let's say right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say my hand is like this. So let's say I got a late payment from a mortgage. It's going to really tighten up. All right. So the next month is going to stay tight, because it's going to be updating as a negative item every month that is on there. So once it's removed from the credit report, then this lightens up and it gets removed and you have room to breathe. That's why you're able to access new credit. And not only that, your credit scores are going to go up, especially if you still have some type of revolving credit card accounts in which if you keep them in low limits, your credit scores are going to jump up anywhere from 710, 720 plus credit scores because you're not maxed out on your credit cards. But in this situation, when you're dealing with these type of people and you're dealing with this type of hardship, a lot of those credit scores are maxed out. A lot of those credit cards are maxed out. So that also puts pressure on your credit scores at the same time. So you got to be careful with that because after credit repair, the negative items, after credit repair, the removal of negative items, your credit scores are going to be based on your revolving credit card accounts, if you're maxed out or not.
So Giz, so I guess my question is, it's two-part. One, if the only negative inquiry on the credit report is that one trade line, is that mortgage,
mm-hmm.
and Carolina says, okay, Matt, we're on the way, we're starting the process, we have the contract, everything is in with Leah. Are we calling you at that point and saying, Giz, let's get these people started now? It's going to take at least 3 months from beginning to end, 2-3 months, depending on the investor, to do this short sale. How long does it take to get that trade line to drop off? So when everything is done, now the house.
Okay. So it's a process to remove it from the credit report. If that's what you're asking. How long would it take for it to be removed from the credit report?
And hold on, it's a double-edged sword because now it was a mortgage, right? So the mortgage was short sale. So it might actually show in the credit report paid for less than full amount. If that trade line is gone, are they going to be able to note on the person's credit report?
Are they going to be able to what?
are they going to be able to note on the person's credit report that trade line?
Every time you speak, the dog barks.
I know my dog. Jeez, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Is the credit line going to be dropped? Like, is it going to be? Is it so you drop it off the credit report? Now they're going to report to your credit bureau saying, "Hey, we settled this thing for less than full amount." Is that going to show up in the person's credit report, or because the trade line's gone, there's nothing to report on?
That's right. There's trade lines gone. There's nothing to report on. Just like when people have a collection and they say, "Oh, I'm avid about paying my collection. I want to be debt free." Okay, well, to have peace of mind that everything is paid off, you may want to do that. But let's say you want negotiation power to be able to negotiate the debt and settle the debt. Well, the reason why you may be able to settle for 60% of what the limit is because you have their leverage on you is that it's on your credit report right now. So that's why we say, listen, let's remove it from your credit report first. And once it's removed, you could call them back so you can have more leverage, because the leverage on you now is that it's on your credit report. But once you call back and it's off your credit report, now you have more negotiation power to say, listen, I can only afford 30% to 40% to pay this off, to have peace of mind that I paid this off. So when you do pay it off, it's not going to report on the credit report that you paid it off or anything like that. And once it's off, it's off.
You actually just gave me a really good idea, but I'll talk about that off camera with you guys.
Okay.
As far as so let's say somebody has a 700 credit score and the credit drops because of their mortgage. How much can a credit drop with a mortgage? Let's say the 700 credit score. Is it every single month it's going to drop, or is it just takes a shot for being late?
It takes a shot because you got to remember every credit report is different. So you got to your credit report is based on the amount of credit that you've had for such a long time. So if one thing's dropped, which is a big thing, which is your mortgage, because it's already going to be there for 30 years, your credit score could drop 80 to 120 points and it'll be dropped. But you got to have some positive accounts in order to counter the negative accounts that are on your credit report. So if you only have one negative item, your credit scores are going to drop, but it's not going to drop significantly as if you let everything go to the dump. If you let everything go to the dump, then definitely your credit scores are going to be low 500s, probably high 400s. But if you keep paying your credit cards, if you keep paying your vehicle loans and this mortgage you let go, you could expect anywhere from 80 to 120 points fluctuation of your credit scores going down.
So people should really consider contacting and talking to you regarding their credit.
Well, it depends on what goal they're trying to reach, right? Because not everybody wants to be a business owner and get business financing. Not everybody wants to get a car. Not everyone wants to get a high limit credit cards. A lot of times people, for vanity reasons, just want to say that they got a 750 credit score. And I've spoken to people like that in the last couple of weeks, where they're just looking to get higher limit credit cards. The guy already has $50,000 in available credit from like 5 credit cards, but yet he wants to get 6 more. I said, why you want so much credit on your credit report? Just to say that I have it.
So what I think you should do is I think you should just get us the credit card numbers, the expiration date, and the 3-digit code on the back. We just go to town.
Well, the guy wants it for vanity points. That's why every time we speak to a customer, we always go by what goal you want to achieve first.
Right.
Like in your case, the goal, if they could make money, they don't care if their credit goes to trash. To be honest, people, they just want a place to live and be able to afford where they're living at and pay the water bill when it comes and the heat and electricity when PSE&G comes. Right. That's goal for them. That's for them to keep themselves above water. And then the other stuff, if they have a car or if they want a new car, then that's something that we need to go and reach that goal and it's step by step, because not everything could be done all at the same time.
No, 100%. Listen, yes, I appreciate you popping on and giving us some insight on the short sale side with the credit.
Yes.
So
no problem. Carolina, how's everything?
Doing well. Fine.
Well, fine. That's great. So yeah, these live casts, you could always count on me on them if I'm available. It's hilarious right now because my wife is doing a live cast with her job. I'm doing a live cast. I got my daughter sleeping.
Oh, wow.
It's time to take her nap. So we're working harder now than we were when we weren't doing quarantine.
I know. I feel that way.
It feels that way. I know.
100%. Giz, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Take care. See you later.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
So I thought it was important to have him come on because we're going to be talking about, the whole, short sale aspect of it. People really need to understand, the rules, regulations, and the guidelines. Like if you have good credit and the only bad credit is on your mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and your mortgage can go away from the credit aspect of it and you can move forward, it's really a no-brainer. And I love the fact that he gives out free consultations. So let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about mainstream real estate. You said your real estate business has picked up since the pandemic. What's going on with that side of the business?
Well, I've been developing my real estate practice for a while, and I think given the pandemic, and it's sort of like it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because when this whole pandemic happened, a lot of attorneys, traditional attorneys like brick and mortars, they weren't prepared for this sort of pandemic, working remotely from home. So for me, I've always been a very tech savvy kind of lawyer. I've got a lot of, cloud-based case management systems, software, all that stuff. I literally, the moment, it was like March 9th, I literally took all my computers, all my scanners, brought it home, and I was ready to rock and roll and move forward. So a lot of clients or realtors have been calling me and saying, hey, can you handle this? Or, the attorney that I had on this transaction, I can't get a hold of him or her. I can't I'm faxing, I'm calling, nobody's responding. I have voice over IP phones, and I've had to actually jump in the middle of a transaction because the attorney is MIA, or maybe the attorney got COVID-19, which I've had. There was a scenario where the individual had this, and I had to just jump in. So it's sort of unfortunate. So if you weren't prepared pre-pandemic for something like this, as an attorney, wow, you're just going to have to just really, learn this stuff. And I was ready to rock and roll. So, with realtors, I've told them, I said, listen, you can call my main line, which is a voice over IP phone. It rings here at my house. If not, here's my cell. I'm basically giving clients and realtors access to me basically 24/7 using all kinds of technology.
Right.
So,
oh, that's good. So you had mentioned over the last couple of weeks that you were meeting a lot of new real estate agents because you were getting referrals. Where are the referrals coming from?
Existing clients, other realtors, doing Zoom meetings, all this work that I did, I guess, pre-pandemic sort of paid off, the kind of marketing and just networking, but also just getting your information out there on social media. I think it's really important now, especially for lawyers that, you can't really, for majority of lawyers, we can't be in our offices. We can't be out there going networking, going to lunches and stuff like that, bar association meetings. So what can I do? Get online, start promoting myself, whether it's a TikTok video, whether it's Instagram. I plan on doing a TikTok video.
You can do one of those I'm a savage.
Yeah, I'll do one with you.
No, nobody wants to see me dance.
It's okay. You don't have to dance. You can dance from your seat. But the whole point is that it's getting your message out there. I mean, and you appreciate this, Matt, because you always do a lot of the online FaceTime, YouTube, is that right now there's a captive audience. Everybody, pretty much across the United States, is on lockdown. Okay, unless as we start to slowly reopen, you'll see a difference. But majority of people are heeding the advice of the health experts and staying at home. And unfortunately there's a lot of people that are unemployed now. So what are people going to do? They're going to go online to relieve their stress. They're trying to figure out, especially in your business, and what I do too as in real estate is like, how am I going to pay for my mortgage? What if I can't pay for my mortgage? What are my options? And people are hitting the internet and trying to learn and trying to figure out what's the next steps that they need to take. And I think as an attorney, and as well as you as in the business of short sales, is that we need to be out there and really taking advantage of this moment and really educating people and telling people that we're here, we can calm down their fears, we're here to service them and provide them a great service.
So let me ask you this question. So we've actually worked together on a couple of transactions. You have an idea, a little bit of a taste of what my team does and what we offer. So I guess my question would be, we're a loss mitigation company, you're a law firm, there are, usually 2 real estate attorneys involved. There's at least 2 families involved. There's always that nosy person or neighbor that's usually involved. Title companies involved, insurance companies involved, the banks involved. Sometimes there's more than one bank involved, or judgments. So when someone says to me, "Oh, short sales are easy," you've been on some pretty spectacular train wrecks.
Yeah.
With my team, but we've gotten them done. So I want to ask you, I want to put you in the hot seat. What is your honest opinion with working with Real Estate Recovery Group, the service that we provide, and how much work did you really have to do working on a short sale with us versus a regular real estate transaction?
I have to say that you guys are amazing. You guys are a godsend. Because you and Leah and Will, the amount of work that you guys put in, I could never do that. As an attorney, there's no way. I don't have the time. And I, basically I just handled it as a regular real estate transaction. Because you guys did all the work. You guys do all the heavy lifting. Right. And the negotiation. So it's very important, and it's relieving for me as an attorney. Look, I could learn the area if I wanted to, but you know what? I'm all about, who has the comparative advantage, and you guys have that comparative advantage to, I guess, majority of all the attorneys out there. You guys understand the industry really inside and out. And I, as an attorney, I think my value is providing legal services. Your value is the negotiation, the short sales. You guys understand that industry really inside and out. And I have always come to you guys, and I've never, we've worked on some crazy deals, and and we were stressed, but you guys pulled it off, and I'm just amazed. That's why I love working with you guys. I love working with your team. I love working with you, Matt. I love working with Leah and Will, and it's seamless. I think that's the key word. It's seamless with you guys, and I always recommend you guys because why struggle as an attorney? Why? I love working with you guys.
Do you agree the premise, the philosophy on how my company gets paid, where the buyer's paying for the service? We're basically freeing the homeowner of any financial obligation, that so they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And that the buyer, who ultimately is going to purchase the property, they're getting a really good deal on the property. I think the main struggle we have is that if there's at least one naysayer in the bunch, it kind of like start to soil the other people that are involved in the transaction. Would you say that's true?
That's true. Yeah.
It makes it easier when everybody works on the same page, works together, so we can all be in this, the same team. Obviously, we all have the same goal. We want to help the person that's in trouble, and we also want to help the people that want to purchase the property at a good price, at a fair price, where they feel like, hey, I got a good deal out of this. What's your feeling on how real estate agents don't want to go after their stressed real estate? What would you say to them, or what do you feel you would say going forward during the pandemic and after about, hey, look, I'm the attorney. This is a company that I work with, Real Estate Recovery Group. You know, what's your take on that? You feel comfortable having us as your backup?
Yeah, no, I do. And a lot of realtors that I have interacted with, and I'm sort of shocked, basically by the real estate agent, I guess, industry, how many of them there's a lot of new agents and they don't understand short sales, so they stay away. And those who try to venture into this, they don't know what they're doing. And I always tell them up front, I said, feel free to call me, but if there's something you don't know, I mean, especially when it comes to short sales, I just tell them, why even stress yourself? Just call Matt, and Matt will walk the client through the whole process. And just, I always, that I'm one of your biggest fans. So.
No, I know. No, I know.
So for me, and I have that honest conversation with realtors because, I know that they want the best for their clients. They want to service their clients. They want their commission. I get that. But you do a disservice if you don't know something. And you're trying to fumble your way through something and you're not an expert in it, and leave it for the experts. That's why there's people who are specialized in what you do, what I do, and, don't do a disservice to your client. And that's why I tell them, look, if you don't understand what you're doing, you've never done this, you have no experience in short sales, go to the expert. And I always point them to you because, you've had many years of experience of doing this. You've represented clients through crazy deals. And if anyone could do it, it's you, Matt. You guys can totally do it.
So look, having my team in place obviously allows me to do videos like this, to get out there as the face of the company. I feel very confident with the team that I have with me. We're showing, especially real estate agents, a better way, a smarter way, a more effective way of being able to get distressed sales gone and help people move on to the next phase of their life. So, having, people like yourself, having people like, Gizzy Credit, being able to help us and complement our services just makes it so much easier to, work with people and at least find out their options. That's why I tell people all the time, know your options. You really should find your options. Don't bury your head in the sand. Please don't do that. And try not to wait till the last minute. Like right now, yeah, pandemic, get it. But I mean, sheriff sales are going to happen. I mean, they're even talking about doing sheriff sales. And if you lose your house, the house goes to sheriff sale. You get to stay in your house for a little bit. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. There's a lot of buzz talking about a lot of things, but it smells a lot like 2008.
It does.
Try to do these, Band-Aid situations to try to help. And in the end, it really didn't help. And, 2009, literally the ass fell out in the financial industry when it came to real estate, mortgages and sales. So I don't think it's going to be quite the same as 2008. I think there's going to be a little bit more structure to it, thank God. But there are definitely some types of similarities. And, if somebody wants to find out more about, the legal side or the legal rights, they should definitely reach out to you. If they don't reach out to you, then, it's really, it's their loss of an opportunity where they could reach out to you. Now, they can reach out to you directly at 201-379-4040, or they can go to your website, which is your last name, law. So it's CURBELO law, LAW.com. And they can look you up. They can research you. They can Google you. I tell people all the time, Google the person, research the person. Ask people, ask individuals. Now, real quick, because I got to tell you, you're a big chick. You are a member of the New Jersey State Bar, Hispanic Bar Association of New Jersey, American Immigration Law Association, Council Parents, Attorneys, your advocates, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, North Jersey and Morris County chapters. I mean, you got a lot going on, lady.
I know.
So continue success in everything that you do, and I
Thank
appreciate you having come onto the show. At the end of every one of these live streams, I ask people to do the finger point. So I like to see if you can do it. That was very poised.
Was it very poised?
Yes, it was very classy.
I'm classy.
So, Carolina, I really appreciate you coming on. Carolina Curbelo Law. It's curbelolaw.com. You can reach her direct at the 201-379-4040 number. Thanks so much for being a guest today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was a pleasure. Take
Hold
care.
on one sec. Don't go anywhere.
Not a problem.